Hey everybody, welcome back to some more early morning barking, talking about BPD and MPD by somebody that has both. Don't forget to hit the like and subscribe buttons and do all the socially things scrolling past you on the screen right now. Okay. I had a little bit of inspiration a little while ago. Call it inspiration. Will Smith smacked Chris Rock in the face on the Oscars. I mean, wow, right? He did that. He actually did that. He got up out of his chair, walked up on stage in front of the planet, smacked Chris Rock in the face, and sat down again. And then told him what he told him. Which I normally would say, but YouTube monetization and all that, you know. And I was like, wow, that's entitlement right there, isn't it? That's some narcissistic entitlement right there. I'm allowed to do this, thought Will. And he got up on stage and he did it. And I thought it would be interesting to look at this from a narcissistic perspective. And then I watched the Jimmy Saville documentary on Netflix. And at first you think, wow, there's some narcissistic entitlement right there. Right? I mean, there was somebody who gaslit a nation for 40 years. Everybody loved him and no one believed that he was capable of doing what he did. Which I won't go into. Watch the Netflix special if you haven't got a clue what I'm talking about. And he got away with it. Right? We know he did it now, but we didn't before he died. He got away with it. That's narcissistic entitlement right there, isn't it? That's almost the same thing. It is exactly the same thing. What motivated Jimmy Saville is what motivated Will Smith. And they did very different things. I'm not comparing that, but that motivating force, that break that allowed them to function like that, enabled that same behavior in both of them. And then what became really difficult as I started thinking about this was the realization that this isn't entitlement for them. Entitlement is getting angry when you want something that you shouldn't have, that you aren't entitled to. And the truth is that that's not what happened with Will Smith. He didn't kick up a fuss and try and get something that he wasn't entitled to. What we're looking at in both these cases isn't narcissistic entitlement. It's narcissistic privilege. The man got out of his chair, hit the dude in the face, sat down again, got his award. Got to give his speech, went home. It's all fine. Jimmy Saville conducted a reign of terror against young women across the country for decades. No one said anything, no one did anything, no one believed, died, got away with it, fine. Is that entitlement? Because the depressing thing is that looks awfully, to me, like privilege earned via narcissism. That's the power that narcissism demands, and in some cases, achieves. Now, I was watching Jimmy work on that documentary, and once you start viewing him through the eyes of a narcissist, superficial charm, lust for power, all of those things, the sense of entitlement, the sense of superiority, you hear it in every word he says, in every expression, in every sentence. It's right there. And the more it goes on, the more blatant it becomes. It becomes bragging. He never hid a thing because he didn't have to, because the nation loved him so much that they would not believe bad things about him. He said it to us over and over. I'm doing this. I enjoy this. And we laughed. Oh, Jimmy, you crazy goof. He was telling us the whole time, right there. Not entitlement, privilege. Privilege to spend your life committing crime and confessing as you go and have nothing happen. Narcissistic privilege. Same with Will Smith. Nothing happened. I mean, he can look very sad now, and Netflix can cancel a movie that, quite frankly, looked like it was going to be cancelled anyway, because the last Will Smith movie on Netflix really didn't do well, and this current one lost its director a couple of years ago. It was sitting at the bottom of a drawer somewhere, so cancelling it is something that kind of just was a nice, timely thing for Netflix to do to make them look good. Will Smith has lost nothing. There have been no real consequences, no real world repercussions of his actions. And I doubt there will be. Nor do I doubt that he'll be the last person to do anything like that. Because of privilege. Not entitlement, not something he shouldn't have. Well, we have to be careful with that, don't I? To be clear, shouldn't have. He should not have the right to hit somebody in the face because he's pissed off. He should not. But he does. He does have that. We watched it happen. We watched him demonstrate to the world that he had that. He told us. He showed us. Look what I can do. And he sat back down. Why should he go? Of course it's wrong for everybody to be able to slap someone in the face, right? Who would argue with that? You and I here should not be able to do that. But Will Smith can. Because, well, he's Will Smith and he knows when this should best be applied. It's okay for him to do it. He's not going to go around slapping everybody willy-nilly, only when it's absolutely necessary. We can trust Will. Privilege. And how do we get there? Superficial charm. Being that thing that everybody wants us to be, being that thing that everybody loves and likes, having that energy about us, that's something that people can't quite define. And that ability to manipulate, to guide, to put people on the path we want them to be on. Be very Machiavellian to get what we want. And these are all desires that someone with MPD might have. It doesn't mean we have the skills to implement these, right? Don't assume that just because we want to lie that we are good at lying, or because we want to manipulate that we're good at manipulation. That's absolutely in no way guaranteed. The ability to do these things does not come hand in hand with the desire to do them. I'd like to speak 14 languages fluently. I really, really would, but no desire to do that is going to make it just happen. It takes work. I have to get books and learn these languages, and maybe I struggle with some of them. Maybe I struggle with all of them, let's be perfectly honest. And the same is true of these traits and abilities to mislead, to guide, to influence others. They don't come naturally. They take work. They take a lot of skill and a lot of time. Jimmy Saville did what he did over a period of decades. I can't imagine that his skills and abilities like that just came naturally, that he didn't work on them because he knew what he was doing. It's clear from watching that and seeing him function and listening to his words and the way he puts things, the way he talks to people, that he considered himself a step above the rest of us. He was Khan, right? He was that person who thought, well, I'm just better than all of you, and therefore you are all there for me. That classic malignant narcissist attitude of, if I can manipulate you, if you are manipulatable, then why should I not? How is that morally wrong? That confusion, that disconnect from society. He said at one point, I never did any harm to anybody. And I truly believe he thinks that. I truly believe that that was what was in his head. Because how could he? He was above. He was superior. He was better than everyone. And what he did was what was best, what was right in his head. He didn't think he was hurting anyone. He was so detached from reality. Or maybe he wasn't. Maybe he was in great turmoil over it. Maybe the two parts of his personality were just so far apart. That must have been an agony I can't imagine. That narcissism is a defense, right? It gets us what we want in the face of where we feel we lack. And he lacked. Jimmy Saville was a man that lacked greatly. His deficit was huge. He had big moral debt. And maybe that was something that pushed him far the other way to try and be friendly. And that is how you fall into these skills. I can see a way of that happening. But I also think he knew what he was doing every single step of the way. Such a controlling person. Such a controlling person, all through this narcissism, through these skills that he clearly honed over decades, to be able to do whatever he wanted and have privilege. No one would believe it. When Will Smith hit Chris Rock, did you believe it? It was like watching Father Ted kick Bishop Brennan up the arse. The world just... Did he do that? Did that? What? No. No. Sometimes seeing things, hearing things doesn't matter. Sometimes it's irrelevant that you've just seen something occur. And so if things are happening that you don't even see occur and they come out as accusations, they can be even harder to believe. I've had to watch that video of Will Smith and Chris Rock several times. He did that. I'm really seeing it. Such privilege. And these things can never be used for good, right? What's the good version of these things? We know that there's... What is there? I'm starting to see the cracks appear in my plan to be a benevolent dictator now. Yes. It's just a matter of time before I slap Chris Rock in the face, isn't it? That's ultimately what's going to happen, so probably give that one up. There's no good ending to the narcissism. There are no hugely wonderful, well thought of narcissists. Because these powers, if you gain them, are always used for evil. Maybe not exclusively evil. And maybe some people might use that to attempt to justify it. I think that was Jimmy Saville's plan. If I do all this good, it makes up for all this bad. No. And if you want a demonstration of that, look at that case. No one at all can shrug off the bad that he did because of the good that he did. We can't do that. And yes, people are a mix of light and dark, good and bad, but in that case, these extremes can be so far apart that the bad is too bad. And having any good doesn't make up for it. It doesn't. It just doesn't. And the proof is right there in front of us. The public sentiment, the fact that we're still watching these documentaries and talking about these things years after the fact. People were harmed. And no amount of doing good makes up for the people that were harmed. There's no acceptable loss in terms of that. And we have to look on that as we attempt or wish we could do those similar manipulative things. Of course, to what we think are our good ends. Of course, with honourable intentions, with good meaning. But we have to realise, no, this goes wrong. This is bad. And there are numerous examples of it. And there are two right there. Two huge ones. Of why we can't carry on this path of narcissism, of MPD. We aren't entitled. We don't have privilege. We shouldn't be trying to attain that. Because those who do attain that end badly. And are not the well thought of people that we wish we were, really. That power, that entitlement and privilege is going to drag us away from where we really want to be. Because as I sit here now, I'm not a bad person at all. I would never do anything to hurt anyone or anything, and I'm very sure that there are times in Will Smith's life when he felt the same. But I watched him smack somebody in the face on live television, so that thought is clearly out of the window for him. For him, there are justifiable reasons to do so. So what pushes him that much further? Why him? Because, well, I've watched him do it. And don't get me wrong, there have been plenty in my times in my life where I wanted to walk up to someone and punch them in the face. So many times. So many people over the years. I've never once done it because I don't have that privilege. I don't feel that need. And those that have it make it so bad. Anyway, fun talking to you. You take care. I'll see you later. Bye.